from the bottom corner. Laura, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to let you unmute yourself and tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, hello, my loves. Hi, everybody. I am a mindfulness meditation and metaphysical teacher. I've actually been doing Insight Timer since the lives began. I was probably one of the, not the very first teacher, but certainly towards the beginning. So some of you maybe already know me from meditations, from oracle card readings, tarot readings, workshops, all sorts of stuff. I'm not as big with the meditations just because I like to go live. So when Violet asked me to go live, I was like, well, of course, live is my jam. So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And Renee, I'm going to move over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Renee. I'm an astrologer, transformation coach. I've been a part of the Insight Timer community since 2016. Some of you may know me from my meditations. I have a background in hypnosis and NLP and spiritual psychology. So a lot of my meditations take people into deeper places inside of themselves to create shifts in their lives. Yeah, and I offer live events, normally around the moon activations, full moon, new moon. And I like to say that the universe is my coach. So it has wonderful themes to feel into to be able to grow and transform. So happy to be here. So happy to be heard. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. And Carol.
I'm just talking away and I'm muted.
I know the feeling.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't do anything wrong, right? And so I just, okay. So
No, you're
anyway,
fine. And I apologize for the tech issues. All these teachers came in the middle of the tech issues. So I didn't even get to say hello to any of you. Hello and welcome to all of you. And go on, Carol.
I understand the tech issues because I had them Tuesday and my
Oh,
whole live just crashed,
oh,
you
that's
know, and I'm new at doing lives. So I'm trying to figure out, was it me? Is
no.
it something I should do? Should I call somebody? Anyway, I'm
It's
Carol.
Insight Timer. It's not you. Trust me.
Well, I guess I'm kind of glad to hear that because I was in a total panic
Oh,
thinking that people are going to think she's crazy. She doesn't know what she's doing.
I know
And
the feeling.
that is in part correct though, you know. Anyway, anyway, I'm Carol and I'm a teacher on Insight Timer. I've been here since maybe 2021 and then I got bounced because I couldn't get the sound correct and it was just a whatever. And I'm determined. So I came back in 2022 and just, you know, kind of plowed through until I got the art issues correct because I've been rejected for every single thing. Right.
Aw.
No, it's okay because it's a great journey and I'm the one to go through it because I'm not going to quit. So
Good for
after I
you.
got approved with all the art and the sound finally worked its magic, I've got a ton of tracks and my world is just thinking with the masters. And so I'm an intuitive channel and I have mentors that talk to me. I talk to them and I don't think they pay any attention to me because
I know the feeling.
because I don't know if I have that much to say. They're the ones that, you know, and they've been with me for so many years. And actually, I've seen two of them twice, but I don't want to go off on that. Anyway, I'm really delighted to be here. And I just started doing lives. I'm a former pastor. I retired from pastoring in the traditional Christian denomination, three mainline denominations. I retired in 2018 and I wanted to not use that anymore. Uh, Not to say it because people have a preconceived notion about pastors. But then I said, if you just give me a second, I'll tell you how I'm different. Right. I crossed from that into New Thought and it wasn't a real big shift for me, but that's part of my work. And it really does. And I'm going to say this has been a lifelong journey to this transition. And I used to kick and scream along the way because I didn't know where I was going, but I knew where I was not it. And I would say often to God or spirit, why do I have to go through this? Why do I don't like this? And, you know, we connect the dots in the past by looking back. And I can see, like, I am doing a lot with religious trauma and showing people how to navigate to wholeness. I had to experience that. And I did in such a ridiculously awful way. And I didn't do a good job. But I came out of it and I look back and say, that's why you had to go through that. You can show people that there is life. It's not over. Don't drink the Kool-Aid anymore. You know, just all of that. So that's who I am. And thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, I really appreciate that, because I said on my live last night that the one of the values that I hold really highly is camaraderie and
Yeah.
partnership and collegiality. And you know, when somebody reaches out to me, it just grabs my attention. And I don't know you, Violet.
No.
I have no clue who you are. I do now, but Violet reached out to me and she just started giving me advice. And I'm thinking, who is this wonderful person? I'm thinking,
Aw.
I always ask Spirit to
I'm
send.
glad you said, who is this wonderful person, not who is this crazy lady.
Well, it crazy works, you know, because but really, I always ask Spirit to bring people into my space that will help me and advise me. And you just showed up, and I'm thinking, everybody else that showed up wanted to charge me, which was okay, but I didn't know what I was doing enough to pay for it. So I
Right.
just, you know, and you came, and so I'm so
Aw.
grateful and
But, you know, you
thankful.
just made my day. The whole aggravation with the OBS and the some emails I had gotten beforehand that annoyed me. You just made my day. So thank you.
I'm honest. Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
That was beautiful. Jason.
Hello, everyone. I'm looking at a different screen, so I thought I was going to be last. So, thank you for having me on here. It's exciting. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. I do like to talk, as probably most of us. But so I'm a healer. My company is One Path Coaching, but I'm transitioning to One Path Healing because that speaks to who I truly am, and that's part of my journey and where I'm going. I started meditating when I was 8 years old. I found a issue of Black Belt magazine because, as most 8-year-olds, I loved martial arts and thought I was going to be the next Bruce Lee. And I found an article about box breathing, and I said I can do that. And then through my life, I've just kind of picked up meditation and, got into martial arts and picked it up there. And then when I was in the Marine Corps, I was in Japan for a year and worked with some Zen people there. And I had the opportunity to work for people from the San Francisco Zen Center. I'm in California, out in the Bay Area, close to the Bay Area now. And that's just been part of my journey. When I mentioned my company's name is One Path, and that comes from the Ram Dass quote, "We're all just walking each other home." So, the top of the mountain's always the top of the mountain. There's many paths to it, but we're all just trying to find our way to the top of the mountain. We're all going home. And so I help people one-on-one, kind of like someone earlier said. NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, polyvagal theory. That's kind of my background. That's the toolbox that I use. And so meditation's always been something for me personally. But just recently I said, hey, why don't I share that? And so I do a free walking meditation class based on the work of Thich Nhat Hanh once a month here in my local community. And I'm just really happy to be part of this Insight Timer. I've been here about 6 months now. I think I have about 10 or 11 meditations on my page, and looking to grow more from there.
Awesome. And I was going to say, I do seek out some of you. Like Carol said, I messaged her, and Jason, I reached out to you because I watch a lot of lives. And when I see something that catches my attention, I'm like, maybe if I invite them, they'll come share that with me. I love the work that all of you do. So thank you for sharing that. Beth, I'm moving over to you.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I've actually been on Insight Timer since it was just actually a timer.
You're an OG.
Yeah, and I started recording meditations. I don't remember when, but I actually come from a broadcasting background, and so I do a lot of writing. So I'm a spiritual writer, and I'm also a health writer. But I got into meditation a little bit deeper when I started practicing yoga about 25 years ago. And then I became a yoga instructor. And I found that meditation basically became my yoga practice much more. So when Insight Timer was starting to do its lives, I was doing a lot of breath work and a lot of, I do Lectio Divina, which is a Christian practice, but I try to make some of the readings very secular, or just overall spiritual to bring about peace and harmony. And so I started doing lives, doing the Lectio Divina and doing breath practices a couple of days a week. And but I haven't been doing as many lives now because I got another dog and he's very loud. So I had a problem when I was living in Philadelphia doing lives because my one dog was sick and then he died. But so I haven't been live as much and I haven't been recording as much as I was a few years ago. But I have a course coming up that I'm hoping to launch in the next couple of months on how we balance midlife. So look for that soon.
Thank you. I'm sorry about your pup. We just did a thing on Monday on pet loss because I lost 2 of mine last year, so I can relate. Sorry.
Yeah, well, this was about, I lost him about 2 years ago. And, it was very devastating to me, because he was interrupting all of my lives. And so,
I get you. I get it in there.
yeah.
Michelle.
Hello, and thank you, Violet, so much for putting this all together. This morning when I was thinking about Violet, I really got this message that she's a connector of hearts so that we can raise the vibrations collectively. And I think that's the work you do is truly selfless. And so I'm not sure how much the audience realize that this is just a work of love for you, from you. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. I'm a little bit of an introvert until I get into my zone of teaching. So my name's Michelle Murphy, and I was given a spiritual name, Kali Devi, by a guru that I worked with for over 8 years. And so Kali Devi Energetics is my business name. And Kali Devi is really all about liberation. And that is something I needed because I had a life of fear. Like I just really sat on the sidelines of life. And people would say I had potential, but I just inside could not feel that and realize that. And so a couple of you mentioned, I think it was Jason mentioned that we're climbing a mountain. And, I think we all have our own mountain to climb, no matter, different circumstances. But what is easy for somebody else might be difficult for someone else. And I vowed, and it's still on my about page, I think, that I would continue to climb the mountain one self-loving step at a time, because you are all worth it, and so am I. And overcoming fear has been a struggle, fear and anxiety. But most of my core work, after working with the guru, I'm a healer at heart as well, and it's all about helping us become clear channels for the expression of our soul. And so I'm all about soul evolution and how we can reach our potential, as many of us are here on the platform, and we all do it in our own unique way. And a lot of the work I do here on Insight Timer is live events, because even though I am a shy introvert, I absolutely love talking live. And I was an accountant in my past life, and I wasn't allowed to talk. And here on Insight Timer, I get to talk for an hour, and you can't interrupt me really, except on the chat, and I get to share deep conversations. So I really love to go deep. I love to go into those deep core wounds and transmute them. So everything I do here, whether it be a meditation or a live, has that aim. So I've been here since 2018, but really only started about 3 years ago to really make a difference here and really build the audience. And in case you're wondering, my accent is Australian. I'm here in Sydney, Australia. So I'm coming to you from the future. It's Saturday here.
Nice. And by the way, Michelle, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but I am a very much a shy introvert myself. And I did this to push past my fears. So I relate to everything you just said. I love it. And Carly, we're going to go over to you. Carly is our last minute drop in because we had a cancellation. And I was like, hey, what are you doing in an hour?
And I was laying out in the sun, drinking my cacao with the worst bed hair I've ever had in
Oh, you
my
look fine.
life, and in my pajamas. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get up and have a shower. So, I'm super excited because, Michelle, I'm also in the future. I'm in Queensland, Australia. So we have two Aussies on here today, which is fantastic. Hello, thanks, Violet, for having me again. I'm super excited. My name is Carly. I am a creative arts therapist. I'm very passionate about all things creativity. I'm the other end of the spectrum to you guys. I am the extrovert. I am the loudest person in the room. I'm the person that you'll hear cackling from the other side of the shops. You'll never lose me in a crowd. And
That's why I love you.
again, yeah, again, you can't get me to shut up. But if you think I'm bad, I've got a surprise for all of our beautiful regulars who are in the chat, because I can see everybody down there. My amazing husband, Jordan, is here today as well. And Jordan's the other half of Smile from Heaven, who is a medium and spiritual healer. He'll be in and out, though. He might not sit here the whole time. It'll just depend. He's got a few other things to do. But I thought I'd just quickly say hi and introduce him. Together, we love sharing our passions. For me, creativity in many different ways, whether it's a creative healing activity or whether it's a fun coloring in Zentangle art journal. For Jordan, he comes on and he does messages. And
I've been sending you a lot of energy.
Jordan's been sitting here sending OBS energy, trying to get it all to work. So, yeah. Oh, there we go. Hey, Elizabeth and Melinda. So a couple of our wonderful regulars. Thanks for jumping in. Really love coming on. So when Violet sent me a message, even though I was like going, oh, it's Saturday morning, I don't want to get out of my pajamas. I was like, you know what? For Violet, I will.
Aww.
For Violet, I will. So yeah, we love being here and we love doing all different types of lives. Like I'm very much, I don't tend to I regularly schedule lives. I'm a very big live person, but I don't tend to plan them too far in advance. I'm like, oh, look, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do this. So you kind of have to follow our profile to know when they'll just randomly show up, and they're always something different. So I don't tend to do the same thing. Like I do, but they're all over the shop. You know, like there's always, I really admire the teachers out there that are like Mel, who goes, you know, every Sunday at this time I'm cooking. I'm not like that. I'm like, oh, I'll do it this Sunday. Oh no, I'll do it on Tuesday. Oh no, I'll do Wednesday. So I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. So whereas, and
I do what I'm told.
And Jordan does what he's told.
The boss lady just tells me, you're on. Okay.
He'll just turn up. He'll just turn up. So I'm the extrovert and Jordan is the introvert. He doesn't even like introducing himself. He doesn't. He sits there and he goes, I go, this is Jordan.
When I have something to say, it's important.
Oh yeah, when he does have something to say,
Like
it's profound. So
yeah. Like Violet, thank you very much for organising all this. I don't think people realise the trouble that you go to, and you do it all on your own time. But I think you also underestimate yourself. You've got a lot to give, and when you allow stop your fears from controlling you, you're spiritual. You're very spiritual. And you always say the right thing or message the right person at the right time. And that's guided by spirit. And I think you underestimate your spiritual gifts. The moment you're very empathic and you feel everything, you need to get more recognition, and you need to applaud yourself for what you're doing. You're stepping outside your comfort zone, and the more you do it, the stronger you're going to get. And you'll go, why didn't I do this earlier? But your spiritual side is well and truly there. You just need to work with it instead of against it. Stop hiding, because you're bringing people together.
Oh my gosh, you're all going to make me cry tonight. I feel like everybody here tonight has said the right thing. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. Thank you. Seriously, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. And you know what? I never introduced myself either. It's funny that you say he never introduces himself. I never introduce myself either. So I'm Violet. I always, like introduce everybody and then I'm like, all right, we're just going to get started. It's possible people don't even know who I am. And by the way, I'm not a meditation teacher, a yoga teacher. I don't have any kind of training in the spiritual world. I'm just a girl who loves technology and loved Insight Timer so much that I figured out how to get in here. And then I started doing this and it took off. And Jordan just explained to me why this is working. So thank you, Jordan. Because I honestly sometimes have no idea what I'm doing here or why, but it makes sense to me now. So thank you.
When you say no spiritual training, sometimes I think it's overrated. When people are, you're just naturally intuitive. Sometimes you're complicated when you get teachers, not like we're all teachers and you get guided, but you've got some people, oh, you have to do this and you have to do that. And then it's like getting a swimmer and changing their stroke. They're no longer natural and struggle. I feel like you're more natural. I'm natural. I don't go by rules. I go by what my guides say. You need to tune in and concentrate on getting a connection with your guides more than anybody. Yeah, get guidance from people, and that goes for everybody. Get guidance from people, but you don't necessarily pick a little bit of what works for you, because not everything works for everybody. And with you, you're naturally intuitive. When you're not thinking, it just comes through. When you're writing or you send a message to somebody, it just comes straight through. But if you overcomplicate it and overthink, then
I'm an
you
overthinker.
sort of shut down. For a person that shuts down and
I'm
go, oh no, I'm
definitely
not
an
doing it.
overthinker. I have to tell
So
you, when I
just do it
first got on
naturally.
Insight
I'm a
Timer, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Because, I don't have any training in anything. So I totally get where you're coming from, because I overthink everything. I was like, I'm not trained in yoga or meditation. And, how am I going to be a teacher there? Are they going to accept me? And they did. And then I was like, now what do I do? And it's just kind of been taking on a
Let your
life
guides-
of its own. So I'm going to work on
let your guides
thinking
train
less.
you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Melanie.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to let Melanie take over.
Hello, everyone. I think that you know me. I teach mindful cooking and intuitive baking. So happy that everyone is here. And I do want to say, Violet, that this is the year that you stepped out of your comfort zone, because Violet came to my house and didn't know me when she read my newsletter and I said, hey, who wants to come for a dinner? I only want people I don't know. And she came alone, and here we
I
are.
was terrified. Not because I thought Melanie would kill me, but because I thought, I don't do these things. I don't go anywhere without, like my husband or somebody that I know, somebody familiar.
Well, and thank you guys for being here. Okay, I'm going to get started. This question is, and I don't remember who wrote it. It was very early on. What changes has being a teacher on Insight Timer brought to your life? So you can feel free to raise your hand manually or use the raise hand function, and then I'll call on you. Or maybe nobody's life changed. Just yours, Violet.
No, Michelle.
Oh, with Michelle, sorry.
I think that, can you hear me? Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. I think that Insight Timer was the shift in my confidence. I came into Insight Timer wanting to go into a bigger pond, I call it, and I was terrified all of the amazing teachers here. And the community is so welcoming and so aligned that it became easier to be me. And without a platform like this, you can't share your knowledge and your wisdom. And so Insight Timer is, even though I'm the teacher who is, teaching inverted commas, I don't like to use that word teacher, I couldn't be who I am today without the audience, without the people who show up live, it's a two-way street. And so I think for me, it's grown my confidence. It gave me the place to explore how to create a course and all of those things. So I'm grateful for that. It really helped me build and learn and grow as a spiritual aspirant as well as a leader. So that's been my experience.
Thank you, Michelle. Renee.
Oh, thank you. I got so much out of Insight Timer when I first launched my first few meditations, because I just thought, you know, these are just my thoughts, and I felt super shy around the meditations that I recorded. I knew it was a beautiful way to move out of my comfort zone and also to serve in a way that I had not working in corporate, you know, for 20 plus years. So it was a really beautiful way for me to see myself in a new way, reconnect to my own spirituality, which I'd always been very spiritual, but I, you know, I like to say that I was like in the spiritual closet, like working in my corporate setting. And then Insight Timer opened up this beautiful door for me to channel, you know, and I never really fancy myself a channel in any way, shape, or form, but it's helped me get closer to confidence, but then also my ability to say exactly what needs to be said, when it needs to be said, and really trust the flow. And that is with live events, as well as with recorded events. And the Insight Timer community itself has been such an amazing gift. The beautiful people that I've exchanged with, you know, connecting with such a positive, loving, spiritual community has been so fortifying on so many levels. And then to be able to give to this community has really helped me on so many levels. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Renee. Carly?
Very much the same as Michelle and Renee, like that whole showing up. But for me, and I wouldn't even use the word changed, I would use the word evolved for me. Because I started on Insight Timer, or Jordan and I started on Insight Timer about just over 3 years ago now. And that was not long after I'd started my own journey after my breakdown. And for me, the way in which I've evolved and continued to change and transform throughout becoming a guide or a teacher here at Insight Timer has helped me to consistently show up for myself and show that vulnerability that us as teachers, we don't have it all figured out, and we do have our own issues, and that if we do put that effort into consistently showing up for ourselves on our own journey, that we can hold space together. Because it's not just like Michelle said, it's not just, even though we're the one on the camera, we're getting, and I don't think people on here realize that every time you show up in somebody else's live, the teacher receives just as much in return to what you guys receive watching. Like, I know I do anyway. Like it's like a natural dopamine hit to know that we are connecting and inspiring and motivating other people. But in the same process, it's that happy double-edged sword, because we're helping you guys, but you guys are helping us. And for me, it's giving me the opportunity to show how far I've come on my journey and how I can continually show up for myself. And even if I'm having a bad day, even if I'm crying in the middle of a cacao because I've had a shitty month and stuff has come up, you know, the support that we get here to show our vulnerable side, so that we can grow as teachers, because we aren't the be all and end all that never have issues and never have problems. And, you know, and that to me is the biggest thing, is that we are learning on our path as well. And this is the opportunity that we get, because like, I think it was Michelle or maybe Renee said, this is kind of like the niche market. We could go onto any other platform and there be like millions of other people, but they're not the tribe that we need. This is the tribe that we need. So that's what this platform brings for us, for me anyway.
I agree.
Carly? Laura?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said is like this about this being the tribe is so true, because I've been on TikTok for a while and it's like crickets half the time. I'm just like, sometimes I'd say thinking I'm just things and I'm like, this is amazing, and it's like, and it just dies. And Instagram, I think has a community like, you know, the people that I know that I've met before. And so if I go live on Instagram, I know that those people are going to show up. But I always know when it comes to Inside Timer that people who show up, they're going to be engaged, they're going to listen, they're going to, you know, be open to receive, they're going to share. And Carly said it so well. It gives you those beautiful, you know, happy hormones when I'm able to share it. And most of the time, when I'm giving messages to people, it's the message I needed to hear. And so I always say in my lives, even if the message isn't just for you, there is something to be heard in other people's messages that you needed to hear as well. So it gives me messages, and it's been part of my journey. And the other piece for me is I come from a broadcast background. I was an entertainment reporter for 17 years. So I was born with a microphone in my hand, and I've been on live television forever and ever, and can talk about, you know, pop culture, which is where I came from. But going live years and years ago, I think I started here back in 2020 or 2021, and doing readings was terrifying to me because I didn't know if I was going to be able to connect to people when I don't see them. When I used to go to mediums, they would always be like, "Oh no, you got to be in person. You can't. No, you can't." And I was like, "Okay." But then as I started doing Clubhouse and I was doing readings on Clubhouse and being able to communicate and talk to the people and things were landing, I was like, "Okay, this seems to be working. I don't think we need to be in the same spot in the same place." So when I found Insight Timer, I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna throw out the matzo ball and see if it sticks and lands, and I'm just gonna try to do readings." And as they were landing, I was like, "Okay, this is proof that not only do we not have to be in the same energetic space in order to get the same messages coming through, but that I felt that my confident in my abilities, and it just grew and grew and grew. And so I'm like forever grateful to Insight Timer for that, and for helping me as a healer to be able to bring things through that, you know, 20 years ago, if you told me I'd be doing this type of work, I'd laughed in your face and told you were a nutso. But here I am all these years later. So I'm just super grateful to Insight Timer for the community that they bring, and all the people who come here.
Thank you, Laura. Beth?
Hey, so it resonated with me that somebody said it's kind of like your tribe, because for me, being a contemplative, I'd read all these books and be like, oh, I really wish I could meet some contemplatives. And I started doing lives on Insight Timer, and just getting that feedback was like, oh, there are people out there. And it really fed me, just like it connected me with other contemplatives, and it even inspired me more to do more audio meditations, because I thought, well, this is what needs to be fed. This is what needs to be done. And just getting that feedback, feeling that, you know, you're helping people and you're putting your little bit of peace in the world, it grows and it fulfills, and it inspires you to do more and more and more. So that's how it's kind of changed me. And it's also been a really wonderful creative outlet, doing all the recordings.
Okay, thank you. This is a great question. I don't remember who asked it, but I always love to know this too. What are your other favorite what's your favorite activity outside of Insight Timer? That's a fun question.
There's life outside of Insight Timer?
I mean, yes. Carly.
Well, anybody who knows me is going to know that it's have to do something to do with art. Something creative in some form, whether I'm putting paint on paper or tattooing myself or burning into wood or, you know, it's always got to be something arty. But if I was to say something completely outside of the art world, which, you know, really wouldn't be my first choice, but would be waterfall chasing. That's one of my biggest things. And I love going and just sitting underneath or sitting with the waterfall. So, yeah. Or reading.
I love that, Carly. I saw some of your pictures one day that you shared when you were at a waterfall, and it was really stunning. And as someone who doesn't have access to waterfalls, it was nice to live vicariously through you. Jason?
I will
Thank you.
I shall over the summer period do.
I have to say my answer's kind of boring, but it's my reality is that I've been blessed that my calling, my purpose, my passion, and my career have all aligned now. It took a lot of years for me to get to that place. So, you know, people talk about, oh, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, I don't have hobbies anymore. So focusing on learning my education, psychology and new thought and quantum theory and all that, that's my passion. That's what I study. That's what I'm listening to an audiobook, or I'm reading a book, or I'm taking a class. That's kind of my journey. You know, I'm a photographer, but that had to take a little bit of a backseat. I do love nature. So I get out in nature. I take walks almost every day. I'm in California where we have very moderate weather. So I'm very blessed to be by lakes. I used to live by the ocean up until 2020. So getting out, that's what I do outside of this, but really learning and growing to be able to be of service of others is what I spend most of my time on now.
That's awesome.
Yes. Beth?
Hey, so people who have done lives with me know that I'm a huge athlete. So I don't know if you can see I've got a big wall of all the races I've done. So yeah, people used to see me that I used to come in all sweaty or just be ready to go out for a run or a bike ride or something. So that's it. I always am really into the mind, body, spirit. And so my life, I need to have, you know, definitely a strong spiritual practice, but I also like to learn and to study science and to kind of feed some of my writing. But then I also have to move my body. And so I try to build all that. So yeah, big time athlete.
Wow.
Thank you. Michelle?
I'd really love to know what all those medals are for, I have to say. I'm like Jason. I think Jason and I are on the same path. I am a little bit boring too. I love reading, but where I'm the most present is when I'm growing as a soul. Like, I really love to explore. I listen to podcasts, do other people's webinars, so that I can learn and grow and find some other way to be a better person. But if I was not able to do that, walks on the beach and cuddling my granddaughters would probably be the other things I love the best.
Beautiful. Renee?
Hi, people are jumping around. I was like, how do I unmute? So there's a lot that I love to do outside of Insight Timer. Part of that is painting too. Like Carly, I'm an artist, and I love painting. That's been such a tremendous passion, as well as has really opened me up to my inner flow, like so beautifully, and learn how to trust my stroke, you know, and trust my stroke has been a metaphor in my life for everything else that I'm doing. And work to me, you know, after leaving my corporate situation and really starting my path as a soulpreneur, learning all the things that I need to learn, still studying more things that I need to learn. It's been like an exciting process, and so much of this pivot for me on some level has also been because I do love work, and I want to love and grow and serve as I get older. And so for me, like, learning never stops, growing never stops, Working never stops. I do take time to rest, and I love to hike, and I love to take my dog Jasper out on walks, and I love to cook. Yeah, I definitely feel very blessed in that I have a lot of passion for what I do, and I do love to do a lot of things, and I do love to serve in many ways. But yeah, art and creativity is up there for me as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura?
I love this question. So I think that I try to put everything into sort of mind, body, soul boxes. And so I try to like check off all those boxes. So for me at the mind level, it's been exactly what everyone's saying. It's just been learning more and more and understanding all sorts of aspects of new thought, new age, spirituality, metaphysics, writing my books. I've written 5 books now. And that's been my learning, is like teaching myself through my channeling or sourcing. And then the other piece of that is actually learning, because I work in corporate wellness for mindfulness, is actually learning about the brain and neuroscience. So now I'm like a super neuroscience nerd, and I want to learn all about how the brain operates, because I really think that science, spirituality, and metaphysics all are saying the same thing, just with different language and words. And so putting those pieces together has been like, life-changing for me. And then at the body level, it's been about like taking care of my body. I work in a wellness center where I have a lot of older people who come in, and I'm able to witness, how the mind, body, and spirit are connected, and how important it is to take care of your body. So I'm super into health and fitness, and I just lost 10 pounds after 2 months. It took me 2 months, and finally got all my numbers down, because my numbers were creeping up in my blood work. But then, and you guys are going to laugh, at the soul level, what actually lights me up, and it seems weird to say at the soul level, is I am a humongous lover of television. I worked in television. It's why I got into the television business. I always said as a young kid that I don't want to be a star. I want to interview the stars. And so I live that life, and I consume it. I love it. And why I say that it hits me at the soul level, because I think it was Renee who said it about like we're all sort of channeling and doing the healing in our own way, and the journey that we're all on. I do think that being in the pop culture world has been my lane, because when I am doing readings and when I'm working with clients, I talk about pop culture so much. And anybody, and I know some of you are here who have been to my lives that I saw in the chat, you guys know I talk about Star Wars and Wizard of Oz. I talk about Love is Blind and The Bachelorette and all these reality shows, to showcase, number one, how we're all channels for source, right? We're all bringing through things, even if we don't know it. And then to talk about the metaphors that are out there about what spirituality is and why we're all here. They're written in movies and poetry and music. So it's been really cool for me to take what I've been doing since I was young and my career prior to this, and put it all into one big pot. So all my passions came together to help me be a healer as well. So that's why I love this question, because it all gets tied together.
Laura, I love that you said that. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I think there's stigma around people who admit to watching TV. And I don't think there should be, because when I'm really, really like stressed, you know what I do? I come home and I put on Sex and the City, because that's my age. I'm 54, and that's what I relate to. But I have definitely noticed, and especially in the spiritual world, I've actually found so much judgment. And I'm happy that we're all here sort of breaking and picking away at the judgment that exists.
I love that. And honestly, Melanie, like there are things that I don't consume anymore, because I feel it in my body, and it does like sort of lower my vibration. And there are things that I have definitely put aside, and it's, I'm so connected to my body and what's happening in my cortisol levels, that I know when something isn't for me anymore. And I don't consume the news as much as I did when I worked in Hollywood, because I know that's, but I really think like, if you're meant to see it and it speaks to you, there's a reason. And a lot of times what I found with what I'm watching and consuming is actually about what's going on in my life. Like, what am I missing, or what's thrilling me? And I think if we start to kind of connect the dot between what are we consuming, that'll give us some clues as to maybe what's there unconsciously too, that maybe we're either need to work with, or it's like a beautiful celebration of the work that you've been doing on yourself.
Yeah. And it gives people, I mean, I know it gives people an opportunity to laugh. And I never think there's enough laughter in the world. So Jay asked this question that I want
Oh,
to
wait,
ask.
wait, Carol,
sorry.
Carol, I'm sorry. We're
I'm sorry,
forgetting
Carol.
Carol. You know what's happening? We can't see the hand because the
Oh,
color
yeah. It's
background.
blending into your background, Carol. Sorry.
So do I need to do something about this background? I don't know.
No,
I
if you
need
want,
to-
just,
I-
just lift up your hand. No, you're fine. You're fine. I happened to notice because I think you had tried to answer
couple of
something.
times.
Oh gosh, I'm so, whatever you had to say for the other questions, let them all out.
I know that, listen, we're on to this one now. Jason was telling my story and I said, save some for me, but it was okay because you couldn't see my hand, my hand anyway. So we're talking about what I like to do outside of Insight Timer. I'm a writer and I have always, since I was a little girl, wanted to be a writer. So I used to, make my own books and tape the edges and put a staple in it, so I had written a whole lot of books. But I come from an experience there where there's a lot of criticism. So I never felt like I could really be good enough to do it. So I never did it until I was 62. And it took me all that time. Now, not counting writing sermons, that's a whole different kind of writing. But at 62, I just decided, let me just go for it. And I did it. And I did 5 books since then. And it was amazing. But going forward, I realized, I thought, where did all that come from? And I realized that I do channel writing. So that's something that I do a lot and I enjoy it. And one of the things that I say to Spirit is, how do you want to express yourself in this situation, whatever the situation might be? What are we going to do here? What am I supposed to, how am I supposed to show you off or channel you here? And so channeled writing is that. I did a blog for maybe 12 or 13 years. I think I want to respond, this might fit into a previous question. I felt like I was always living in a box. I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do and trying to do them exceptionally well because I am a perfectionist and all of that. I'm a recovering perfectionist and a recovering control freak and all of that. But I was always trying and I just felt like I couldn't express what was in me and what God wanted, even though I'm the pastor of a church and I have a bit of notoriety and respect, but it was no avenue or door for me. And when I came to Insight Timer, after a while, you talk to people about how spirit is working, and don't say metaphysical because then they think they call me a heretic and all of that. So, I'm trying to find ways to express spirit through me. And I just kind of bumped into Insight Timer, and I'm going to leave it at that, bumped into, because it came the way things always come to me. This is it. And I have this thing about just show up, just go for it and just see what happens. And I've been other places and it felt like I'm trying to beg you to see more. The term expanded consciousness is big, but that's just being articulated now because it's been in all of us who have desired to share in a bigger space and at a higher level. And that's not a judgmental statement. That's just the only words I have right now. And when I came to Insight Timer, it was such a shock because now I'm meeting people who like what I have to say and like the things that I like. And it's incredibly amazing. I read Rumi and I just did a celebration of Rumi's birthday on his birthday, September 30th. And I was just totally amazed at the number of people that showed up at that live because there are other people I would talk to and they're saying like, who's Rumi? And so so it's like I found a space, a sweet spot. And my husband said, you found like you're in your happy space. And it's like finding home a bit. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she said, I used to think you were progressive, but I'm not sure. And it just came out of nowhere. And I thought, did I just get insulted here? I don't think so. Like, that's your perspective, but how can you be not progress? If you're in a box, how can you think you're being progressive, when you are simply regurgitating the same thing all the time? To me, being progressive is open to new possibilities and not being afraid of them, and not being afraid to fail at something you try. And it goes on from there. So let me stop at that. I kind of mixed in all my little stuff when my hand was up before. So I'll do this. because I
Carol,
know-
you know what though? I loved everything that you said. And I always tell people, me getting on Insight Timer was stepping outside my box, outside my comfort zone. So I totally resonate with what you just said. I love that.
Okay, I think this should be the last question. It's 8:05. And this is a pretty simple one that Jay asked. And I think it's an important question as someone who really only wants to go live. And I heard you, Laura, say that, and a lot of people here feels like it really is resonating with the lives. Jay said, I hope this isn't a strange question, as it's more of an admin question. Is the live chat helpful or distracting when you are doing a live session? I've been on many where the shares have been quite helpful, but sometimes just a lot of external chit chat. What do you prefer as teachers? And I'm going to answer that. And I think for myself, I always tell people, talk in the chat. I love it. It's very easy for me to monitor the chat and cook at the same time. So for me, I love it.
That's your superpower.
And I get a lot of energy from that, because I feel everyone's energy, and I feel very connected to people when they're writing in the chat. If people weren't, I would definitely miss it. So that works for me. I do feel that there are teachers who have a different opinion, and I'm going to let you guys speak. Carly, go for it.
So yeah, I'm the same. I very much like interaction in the chat. And it's actually really hard when you're doing a live, if nobody's chatting, it's like crickets. It's like I think Laura was saying before, when she's over on the other platform, it's like, if you don't chat at all, we're sitting here going, and often I'll be doing a creative live and I'll be like, no one's talking to me. Why is no one talking to me? Does nobody love me today? But I will say that I love all interaction in the comments. I think it's fantastic. The only time that I find it a little bit distracting is if I'm mid-meditation, like if I'm doing my cacao and I'm like, I'm supposed to have my eyes closed, but I open them every now and again to just check my scripting to see that I'm on track. And I'll see comments in the chat and my neurospicy brain gets a little bit sidetracked, and I'm like, oh, no, get back into the meditation, Carly, keep focused. But other than that, I think I absolutely love all the interaction in the comments and stuff. So
It's so other people can interact with each other.
yeah,
as
exactly.
well.
Like Jordan's saying, other people get to interact with each other as well. It's not just me interacting with you guys as well. So I think it's amazing. But yeah, I think if you are in a meditation, like in the facilitator is in mid meditation, that would be the time I would say be a little bit more mindful of it. And I do try to say, look, if there's any comments, I'll reply to them at the end of the meditation. And most of the time when we're doing our meditations on here, they're only a short amount of time. And I try to go back to them. So let's see if anybody else has the same sort of thing.
Laura.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So I have to tell you, working in corporate wellness, it is so painful when it is just you on camera and people don't put their cameras on, or they don't say a peep in the chat. It happened to me today. I was doing what I thought was an incredible mindfulness exercise. And I kept asking them for comments and feedback. And nobody said anything. And I was just like, well, then just leave. Like, why are you even here if you're not going to like engage and let me know what's going on? And it happens all the time in corporate wellness. And so I'm the opposite here. Like, I love your comments. I love the chat. Now, I can't always get to it because as readers, and I think this will answer this question, it is challenging because I'm in a zone and I'm trying to do messages and mediumship and reading and energy healing. And so for me, I can miss things. And so I try to go back. Like, I try to stay in my zone when I'm doing readings, and then I'll go back and read some of the comments. But I always feel bad because I do miss some of them. So as long as people know that, like, you know, if you're commenting, I may not see it. I absolutely love when you guys are commenting to one another and encouraging, because, you know, people are going through some shit and they need help. And so it's nice when we encourage, and I think that's beautiful. But I will say, and I've actually sent it to Insight Timer, one of the things I loved about Clubhouse, the app Clubhouse, is if anyone was on Clubhouse in 2020 during the pandemic, it was where everybody was for about a year and a half, is that we were able to communicate via audio, and everyone had a little bubble of their head, right? You guys know when you're nodding your head, so you know. And I loved that instantaneous feedback, because as I was reading and doing channeling and stuff and mediumship, I was able to get that instant feedback, which I can't get in the chat. So I would love for Insight Timer to be able to have that function at some point where we can actually hear you guys and communicate and talk. And I think if we could put those things together, it's incredible. But as everybody can tell, I do like to talk. So it is very cool to be able to, as someone else was saying, like, just to be able to, like, I get to talk and you guys can't interrupt me is also sometimes nice as well. So I do like that. But I think it's such a good community that it's not like you worry about trolls and stuff. For the most part, I've never really gotten that in Insight Timer. So I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Renee.
Hi, thank you. I love it. I love it so much. When I first did my first live, I was like so nervous. And then when people started chatting, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to field what it is I'm here to do? And then also the questions. And then I started to realize there was such flow and such connection. And like Carly said earlier, like, you know, the people talking to each other inside the group was like so inspiring, and it was energizing me. And what I do is, you know, with the lunar activations that I do, a lot of times, like, you know, we talk about where your sun, moon, rising is and like what's going on in your chart. And while I'm not reading people and their charts, because that gets to be a little too much, I do like to track what's going on. And inevitably people are like, oh my God, I'm a Taurus. That's exactly happening to me right now. Or, whoa, I have a Taurus moon. I've been feeling that too. And, you know, there's been such confirmation, affirmation, and really true connection. So I appreciate that. And normally with my talks, we talk about the astrology, and then we go into a deeper meditation. And once we're in the deeper meditation, I don't field any of the questions. I really try and maintain like the integrity of the space, because there's such a potency inside what happens in the meditation when it's live, that I wouldn't do that there. But it is something that feels so connecting to everybody. So it's really fun.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, I think I'm along the same lines as everybody. I find, especially in masterclasses, the questions or the insights or the comments, I believe we come together as a collective, and it's just not me leading that conversation really, even though I've put the topic up, etc. It's so rich, because that's when the most energy pours through me, is when the people are engaged, and then I just switched into some other mode where I can answer those questions and take us all on the journey that whole group needed. So in masterclasses particularly, I need and thrive on that insight and engagement. When I'm doing readings, because I'm an Akashic reader, like everybody else has said, I'll often have my eyes shut as I'm tuning in and engaging. I do get enough to and fro in the chat, enough for, you know, the readings. If you wanted to go have more chat, you'd have to do it in private. But it's important to sometimes get a little bit of feedback. Am I on track? Because I'll go further down this road with you. The only thing when I'm doing readings is I like to keep the space between me and that person just for those moments, and not have everyone kind of jump in and give advice. But I do love them when they support them afterwards and say, yes, that felt resonant for me. But just while the reading's happening, it's less distracting for people to be jumping on. But Love it, love it, love it. I need it to really take me into another zone.
Thank you. Beth?
Well, the only thing I'd like to add is I'm very thankful that we don't get the spammers anymore, because I was doing a yoga class one time and somebody was like trying to sell crypto on the chat. And then sometimes I would get some inappropriate messages in the chat, like about my appearance or something. Like creepy. So I'm glad that some of that has kind of fallen away. But again, I do agree that it's very, very helpful to have people engage with one another as well as me. But it does irritate me, and I will say it does irritate me when somebody comes in late and begins to ask a bunch of questions when I'm in the midst, like they'll come in late and then ask a ton of questions. And meanwhile, everyone else is like, okay, well, we've moved on. So that's my only beef, is just when people come in and they're firing a bunch of questions and you're like, we're in meditation now. So yeah.
Or I'm just going to say this for me, even because I do mindful cooking. So I'm cooking and people will say, like, what are you cooking? And usually in the chat, someone will thankfully drop in and be like, oh, here, this is what she's doing. Because then you'll end up covering a lot of those things over again. And I think this is feedback for anybody that's on Insight Timer. Most teachers are receptive to getting messages, and you can message teachers if you have further questions about what we're covering. Carly?
You're muted, Carly.
Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I wanted to quickly say, Laura said we don't get a lot of spam, and then Beth mentioned spammers and stuff. And I actually had an incident this week that I had to stop what we were doing and call a commenter out on it. And I know there's probably a lot of teachers that wouldn't have I'm not going to say confidence, because it's not about a confident thing. I think that they would try to ignore it and hope that it goes away. But there was a guy that came into our session this week that just randomly turned up right towards the end. He hadn't really been interacting. And then all of a sudden somebody's getting a vulnerable message from Jordan. And he's like, oh, I'm bored. If you're bored, just come and talk to me, come and chat with me. And it was super, super creepy. So I called him out on it. I said, look, dude, I dropped the F-bomb. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I dropped the F-bomb and went, you can F off. This is not Tinder. Off you go. And I'm like, this is a safe space for people to be vulnerable. And I didn't want any of our regulars to feel like that they weren't safe in our space. So yeah, I called him out on that. But yeah, unfortunately we do get a few of those every now and again. But
Did we deal with
You
this
have one.
last
You have
week?
one now.
yeah, I can't, my phone, I don't know what's going on because my phone decided to stop working. So I
Her
can't
name is
read
Melanie, and she says, Carly, are you bored? Come talk to me.
because I can't see the comments. So right now, all I can see is the teacher. So I don't even know what's going on in the comments. I can't get back into the live. But yeah, it was interesting. And everybody that was in the live seemed to be appreciative of the fact that I called this person out on it. This person had even done a donation, and I contacted Insight Timer afterwards to get them to remove the donation because I didn't want this person's money. So, because I was like, no, sorry, you're not coming in here and trying to be all creepy, man. That's not happening. And like, I think if it had been another teacher, if it had been somebody who was a regular that we were connected with and stuff like that, and they were just putting out extra support, fine. But this wasn't. This was super creepy vibes. This was super, not happening on my watch. And Jordan made a good comment. If you are in, and I don't know for us teachers whether we can do it or not, but if you are in a live and the comments are actually distracting for you while you are watching a live, you can actually tap your screen and the comments will disappear. So if you are trying to be in the meditation zone with the teacher that you're watching and the comments are distracting you, just tap your screen and the comments disappear, and then just tap the screen again and the comments will come back. Just FYI.
Great
in case you
point.
didn't know.
Thank you.
Do we know what the demographic is? Has Insight Timer ever given out the demographics of whom are there? You know, I know they have like 30 million members who've downloaded the app, and they probably have like 1 million who use it consistently. Have they ever done a study on the demographic? Because I wonder if that speaks to some of the, and why you don't find that. Because I mean, you go on TikTok and, you know, everybody's got something nasty to say, and you go on Instagram a little bit, and then here, I just, and maybe like knock on wood, because now I'm setting myself up, but I've never had that happen in any of my lives ever. I've never had someone come in and troll or that. So it just would be interesting to see what the demos are.
I mean, I definitely think they're a lot different than TikTok and Instagram.
And I think it is a very small minority of people, you know, like we every now and again, I'll get somebody coming in and they're like, oh, you look, you know, like what Beth was saying, they comment on how you look or whatever. And you can tell the difference between, oh, you're looking really good today, because normally I'm either looking like a homeless person or a hot sassy mama. So if I'm looking good and they say, oh yeah, you know, and I know it's irregular and they're just complimenting me, that's different. But you can always tell when it's just that next level creepy. You can feel the energy, and yeah, they're few and far between, but unfortunately they're going to be everywhere. But I think it's in the way in which you deal with it. And I really like the fact that there's the flagging system. So I flagged it like 3 times in a row, and it kicked him out, which was great.
I had a guy welcome me to our own live. He didn't know who I was when I jumped in the comment. Welcome, Jordan. It's good to see you. And I'm thinking, who is this guy? It's like the audacity of some people. And then Carly goes, oh, that's my wonderful husband. Oh, that's your husband?
Yeah.
And then he disappeared.
Then he disappeared.
Well, this has been really so inspiring and amazing. And I know that I speak for you, Violet, and for everybody, that we all appreciate your patience in the beginning. It happens. And I do think, to your point, Laura, in many other spaces, I was on a live and I came in today and the teacher hadn't been there for 30 minutes and there were people still writing in the comments, we're still waiting for you, we see your bubble. And I'm like, that's only happening on Insight Timer because it is a community and because you guys show up for us day in and day out. And I really appreciate all of you guys. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And before we end, I do want to give the teachers an opportunity to let people know. I know there were people in the beginning who missed you, and you know, we had our little sound issues and stuff like that, and people who've come in since. So I'm just gonna go around, unmute yourselves, and let people know what lives you've got coming up, you know, courses, tracks, anything that you want to share. So Carol, I'm gonna start with you because I want you to use your voice.
I read Rumi. And I have about, that's my other voice. I have about maybe 100 Rumi tracks, free and plus. So Rumi is the place where my spirit and soul sing. So of all the other things I do, Rumi will always be there. I also have a course coming up, Emmett Fox, on the mental equivalent. I'm really excited about that, and how he, how that book, his seminal writing, informs so much of the principles of New Thought, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the two. Let me see, I do have a live coming up on Monday. We're going to talk about fear. And often I will pull things out of scripture and talk about how the scripture talks about it, how we experience it in our the real lived experience, and how we can look at it metaphysically. So we're going to do that with fear on Monday. And so I'm on maybe 3 or 4 days a week at different times. And that's me. I'm just, you know.
And I will be there because fear is a good topic. One of my favorite quotes, feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's right. That's right. I just show up, you know. Sometimes I'm scared to death. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just show up. That's it. You know, and I'm never alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Renee?
Thank you. I have a relatively new-ish course called Creating a Soulful Brand. I also help people with their branding and the marketing. And this course is kind of like a new one for me in that it takes people through an inner journey, as well as some just general top-line branding exercises just to get you closer with who you are and how you want to share yourself and what's important to you, and give you a sense of kind of tapping into your inner creator and brainstorming inside of the course. And I have a new live event coming up November 1st. I believe it's a Friday, for the new moon in Scorpio, and it's about transforming the shadow into your power.
Ooh, that's Melanie's moon.
Yee.
Laura?
So I do have some meditations. I know the one that people always seem to comment on, and I get the highest reviews. It's called the River of Letting Go. It's a very, sorry, I'll have to use the word metaphysical based, sort of reminding you of who you are and why you're here and letting go of fear. So if you need just like a nice 18-20 minute reset to remind you when you're having a struggle, it's a really good meditation. I have about 10 tracks. As I said, I'm much better at live than I am at meditation. I actually wish I could go do more lives. When I first started going live, I was live like 3-4 days a week. But you know, I just think my career has progressed, so I don't have as many lives. I try to go live at least once, if not twice a week, or sometimes if I'm not there for 2 weeks, it's just because I get busy. But I do have a live coming up on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I do mostly now, when I do have time, I do live readings, messages, energy clearing, channels, past life, Akashic records, numerology. I love numerology. It's one of my favorite tools. And I go kind of under the banner of the All, which is my book series. That's all my books are under the All. So people will come in and be like, hi all, hi all, hi all, and it's not like hi all as if to say hello to everybody. It's actually to say hello to me, which I love. So thank you for the people who do know me. So if you need a message this week and you need some guidance, please join me on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Excellent. Thank you. Michelle?
Hello, and thank you again. In case we don't get an opportunity to say thank you for this opportunity. I go live twice a week, and I've been pretty consistent with that for the last 3 years. That's my jam. Absolutely love it. I usually run at least one masterclass a month. I just finished the mother wound this month, so next month will be on healing the perfectionist. And in between those, every other week I do Akashic readings. Like I do a group reading, and then I go in and do some individual readings, which are all for the group as well, because you'll often find something in that. So I do that every week, twice a week generally. And those readings involve a theme that might come through from the group, or it can be tailored to the individual that has the reading. And it could involve anything to support, guide, heal, uplift, because there is that inner healer in me as well. So that's what I do here pretty much every week.
Excellent. Beth?
Hey, so I'm still cleaning up and adding the sound design to meditation. It's kind of getting in touch with your spiritual teachers. So it's a visualization meditation. So you walk into the woods and imagine your spiritual teachers, and it could be someone from the past. So that, again, I've got to put the sound design together to kind of make it the way that I want. And again, I've got the syllabus and half of the activities together for my course on navigating midlife, or mapping midlife.
All right. Thank you. Jason?
Thank you so much. So I am a newbie. I only have about 10 tracks on recorded meditation so far. I haven't dipped my toes into live yet. I do on LinkedIn. I'm part of a group and I do lives pretty regularly there. But now I'm excited to do Insight Timer lives. So thank you for that. Now I got the bug for this. So I'm going to be doing that. The one thing that I have that's in my page already is I'm also one of my training is in Hawaiian Huna. and I have a forgiveness class. It's about 30 minutes long. It's based on Ho'oponopono, and it's just a recorded class that I did before that I was offering. So if you want to check out kind of what my class works like, other than my meditations, feel free to please check that out and let me know.
Awesome. And Carly, a smile from heaven. Oh, by the way, I have cacao now. I was drinking cacao actually.
Right. I was off another planet trying to remember how Jason said, is it how, because I love that process, and I'm going to go and listen to that track now, because I do love that, the full process thing, but I can never pronounce it.
Ho'oponopono.
That's it. I know how to say the huma huma nuka nuka or pa'a fish, but I don't know how to say the other words. So so thank you, Jason. I'm going to go and check that out. And yeah, definitely come and do some lives, because it is, I will give you one tip though. It's addictive. Once you start doing lives, you won't want to stop. So I'm very much,
As the extrovert.
yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm very much,
Brain science, by the way.
Sorry?
It's neuroscience. Why you're addicted.
Yeah.
I told you I'm a neuroscience nerd.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much a live person in that, like I've got all these meditations and all these tracks that I want to record. And if you guys could just, like climb into my brain and listen to them in here, so that I didn't have to go to the effort of trying to record them and sound engineer them, because that is not my forte. Like, honestly, guys, my recording booth is inside my car in a locked garage. That's my recording booth. So I stick to doing lives more than anything. I have a very small repertoire of audio tracks on here, but I have recorded a few poems recently and a new little mini cacao. If you've only got like 5 minutes and you want to, pay respects to Mama Cacao at the start and then have some beautiful music going, I've got a new little mini cacao track there that I think is pretty cool. But definitely come along to my lives, because my lives are definitely a lot more fun than my audio tracks. I think anyway. So I've got a live cacao and creativity tomorrow night, and then Monday morning, and this is Queensland time, I've got a just a creative colouring in session. And then next week I will be booking some other sessions as well. So yeah.
Excellent. And before I move on to Melanie, I just want to say that we have been doing Ask Your Guides since June, and I got a little crazy and was booking 1, 2, sometimes 3 a week. And I am really excited because the next one is 2 weeks from now. So I'm learning to slow down. Unlike Carly, I am not an extrovert, unlike Melanie, who's amazing during her lives where she cooks and talks and reads chat, and I don't know how she does it. I am very much an introvert, and sometimes I need to retreat. So these next 2 weeks are going to be very calming for me. And we decided that from November on, we're going to do them every other week, because I honestly, between the OBS stress and everything else, I can't keep the pace going. So, but thank you everybody for being here. And Melanie is going to tell you about her lives.
Thank you, Violet. Yeah, not unlike a lot of you guys, lives are my thing. I do have some recorded tracks, but mine are more affirmations. I have cooking affirmations, and I have cancer, so I have a lot of affirmations for people with chronic illness and cancer. And my lives are always Sundays at 9 a.m. And Carly said she couldn't do that, but if I don't put it on the calendar, I'm not showing up. So this Sunday, I'm live 9 a.m. Eastern time, and I am going to be doing intuitive baking, meaning I'm not measuring, and I encourage you not to measure, and I'm doing apple Pop-Tarts, because in my last live, that's what people requested. And then Monday, which is 10/21 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, I do have a meditation for people with chronic illness and cancer. You don't have to be someone that's suffering from that. You can also be a caregiver or a support person for one of those people. And it's a really beautiful space to hold for each other. And then Violet and I, of course, do Ask Your Guides, and Violet and I are going to do a special sort of Ask Your Guides for my birthday, which is November 17th, where we're going to have teachers on cooking again. Carly, I hope that you join us, and any other teacher that wants to come on and cook with us, please feel free to reach out.
I think it's like 2 a.m. for me though. I don't know
But
if Jordan will be
birthday.
excited about me making noise in the kitchen at 2
Depends on
a.m.
what you're cooking.
He goes, depends on what I'm cooking at 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. It's not an Australian friendly time, because last time we did it at night here, and this time we're doing it in the afternoon. So yeah, definitely.
Just means you
But-
have to do another cooking one.
Oh, we actually are gonna try to do those more regularly because that was a big hit. And for someone who doesn't cook, I really enjoyed it. But you know, I don't have to cook
You do
during
one
that.
for my birthday.
We'll do one for everybody's birthday. And with that, it's been an hour and a half. I know we went over time. Thank you, everybody, for being patient. Thank you to all the teachers for giving of your time tonight. This was really meant a lot to me. I was having a little bit of a rough day, and it kind of carried on into the sound issue. But I'm happy to say that thanks to the advice I got from a lot of people prior to the live, I was not stressed at all. Normally, I get very stressed when stuff like this happens. And I was like, hey, it'll work out, no big deal. And it did. And I forget who mentions, you know, just put the sound through the speaker, because that's how I used to do OBS before I figured out how to make it work. So thank you for that suggestion, because that was, you know, that solved the problem for now. And I just wanted to say goodbye. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for everyone who joined us, who chatted, who interacted. This was amazing. And I will see you all in 2 weeks.